G'day guys, Cam Wild Touring and welcome to this week's episode. This week I want to chat to you guys about swags. It occurred to me the other day that I've had this Kalkine Mega Swag for over 9 months and I've already spent over 2 months living out of it during that period. I am spending 2 to 3 months a year living out of a swag, so it's really important to me that it's comfortable so I get a good night's sleep, but it's also important that it's reliable, it's easy to set up, keeps me dry, it keeps me warm, it keeps the bugs out, all those kinds of things. No different to what you guys need out of a swag as well. So I want to chat to you guys about the things that I do like about this swag, the things that I don't like as well. It's not perfect, but I think before we get into all of that, I want to tell you how I ended up with this swag. So 3 to 4 years ago, back in 2021, I was in the market for a new swag. I've had several brands of swags before, several brands of stretchers as well. And I was lucky enough that within the group that I go camping with, there was also several different brands there that I could look at from the rest of the guys, chat to them about their experiences. And I sort of narrowed down my list for the new swag that I wanted to buy to be between Darch or Darchie, I forget how to pronounce it, 23-0 or Crash Pad. They were probably the top 3 that I was looking at. But there was a bit of a curveball there because Gary, or Gazza, that you guys know from most of my trip videos, Gazza had a Kalkine Dome swag and he'd had it for quite some time and he loved that thing. And in the end, that's the way that I went off the review from Gary because he was so happy with his, but also because I love that it was truly freestanding. It's same setup as this with the spring poles to the storm flap, so you don't have to run guy ropes or pegs or anything. The quality was really good, the stretcher looked really good, and the price point was awesome. It was a little bit cheaper than the others, even cheaper now for you guys with my discount code for Kalkine gear. And probably the last thing that got me over the line on the Kalkine was the additional length. It was longer than the rest of the ones I was looking at. And I'm over 6 foot tall, so I want something where my feet aren't going to be touching the end of the swag. So I ended up in a Kalkine Dome swag. I used that thing for years, absolutely love that swag. And I would have continued to use it if Brett from Kalkine hadn't contacted me and said, Cam, I know you love your Dome swag, thanks for buying it. Can I send you the Mega Swag to have a look at? And I'm really careful with accepting products because I don't like to put myself in a position where I'm obliged to say good things about it. I just don't like to do that. I would rather just buy something and then if I'm happy with it, then I can talk about it. But Brett said, look, mate, it's on its way to you already. If you don't love it, don't use it. There's no obligations, no expectations. Give it to one of your mates, sell it, I don't care. Go back to using your Dome swag. And so I was quite comfortable with that arrangement. So this video has absolutely got nothing to do with any sort of expectation from Kalkine. It's just my own thoughts. So then I ended up with this Kalkine Mega Swag. So it's the same width, the same length. Absolutely love it. And ultimately it has been the swag that I've been using since then and will continue to use, and that's because I do love it. It's not perfect, there's little bits and pieces I'll tell you about, but overall it's a very good swag. So we might as well dive into that now and I'll tell you about some of the features that I like. So first up, you can see that it is a really big swag. In fact, it blurs the lines between swag and tent, I think. You can call it whatever you want, but I was concerned that it was going to take up too much room in my boot, which is where I normally keep my swags when I'm on trips. But interestingly, it packs down to pretty much the same size as the Dome swag that I had previously. They both use the same size bag, and I would recommend if you are going to buy a Kalkine swag, when you buy it, they give you the option for like 55 bucks or something to add the swag bag and a fitted sheet to your purchase, and I would recommend doing that. The bag is great. There's heaps of room inside that bag. It's not difficult to get your swag into it. In fact, I roll my swag up with all my bedding inside it, my sleeping bag there, and I can even fit my pillow on top as well, so there's heaps of room. Because of this design with the third hoop, the walls are near vertical, whereas with your Dome swags, the sides come in quite a lot closer to you. You feel a lot more sort of confined inside that swag and you end up with less usable volume inside there. And there's pluses and minuses to that, or pros and cons, and I'll touch on that in a little bit, but there's definitely much more room inside this thing. In fact, you can see that I can sit up with no dramas at all. That's really handy for camping, especially when I'm camping with other fellas. If I want to get dressed in the morning, I'll do it inside my swag. That's the other thing that I really, really like about this swag. If I am getting dressed in here in the morning, there's actually a shelf inside here that I can put the next day's clothes or extra blankets. Camera gear sometimes goes inside there, keys, wallet, bottle of water, all the rest of it. So you don't have to actually set this shelf up, it just stays like that. It folds down with the swag when you put it away and it pops back up as you set the thing up, so that's really good. There's heaps of ventilation on this swag. This side opens the biggest. This side behind me, you can see the zip starts a little bit lower, so it's not quite as big. So this would be your access in and out. If you are gonna put the next day's clothes or whatever on that shelf inside there, this isn't a window, it's actually a flap to access that shelf, so you can stick some clothes and stuff in there, or if you've jumped out your swag and you've forgotten your keys or whatever, you can just unzip this and grab your keys out. So I thought that's a pretty nice feature. The mattress in here is a 70mm high density mattress. Now they also have an option which is pretty flash. It's a 100mm pillow top mattress. I didn't go for that because I already knew, having come from stretches before, that I wasn't gonna need it. If I was sleeping straight on the floor and I was a side sleeper, I would definitely look at getting that 100mm mattress. But if you want to keep this thing a little bit more compact when it's rolled up and you're planning to sleep on a stretcher, absolutely just go for the 70mm. The 100mm is probably overkill for that situation. I get a beautiful night's sleep inside this thing. I toss and turn all night. I'm a side sleeper, a front sleeper, all of the above. And I always have a really good night's sleep inside this thing. If you haven't slept on a stretcher before and you've got the room to take a stretcher away with you, I absolutely would recommend getting one if you're doing a lot of camping. It's easier on your back and your knees getting in and out the thing. It also means that you can sit on the side, dust off your feet. So you end up with so much less sand inside your swag by doing that. If you're a big fella and you're not sure about sleeping on a stretcher, these things are rated to 150 kilos. This thing is solid steel. It's seriously solid. It is heavy as a byproduct of being so solid. When I'm moving around at night, the thing barely moves. It's really quite solid. Now there is actually like little lockout tabs to give it even more sort of rigidity. I never bother doing those, but if you're concerned about that, you could use them. I also really like how the swag anchors into the stretcher. So there's these holes cut out in all the corners that the poles fit straight into. And that means you've got no risk of sort of misaligning it and the swag not being on the stretcher properly. I should also add that it does come with Velcro straps that go around here and sort of holds this corner down on all four corners. It's purely aesthetic. You don't need to. Once your weight's inside there, it holds it down anyway. And these poles are locked into the stretcher, so it's not going anywhere. It just stops that sort of aesthetic look of it riding up like that if it bothers you. When you are setting up these stretchers, they are supposed to be fairly taut. I get one end on first, which is easy, and then you're kind of stretching the surface to get the other end on. I stick my leg in between there and kind of use that as a bit of a leverage. If you're struggling with that, there is actually Velcro underneath that you can tighten or loosen so you get the right sort of firmness on the top of your stretcher. Just looking at the poles here as well, these are a 10mm aluminium pole. So same pole on both the swags, and yeah, over 4 to 5 years now of using these poles, I haven't broken any of them. Previously, I used to take spare poles away with me because I'm sort of familiar with breaking poles on swags, but these seem to be really good. I haven't broken any yet. If you do break any of that sort of stuff, they do carry spares, but like I said, I haven't had to use that yet. Kind of touched on it before, but I really do like this as well. I've seen something similar on rooftop tents. I hadn't seen it on a swag before. It may be more common now, I don't know. But yeah, that's a spring pole. It means I don't have to run a guy rope or anything like that. If I'm in hot, humid weather, but there might be some rain coming, I can have this flap out and I can unzip the canvas here so I can get a breeze through. Got this set up at both head and tail so you can get a breeze the whole way through your swag and you're not going to get any water inside there. So being a 3-hoop swag with 2 spreader poles in the middle, it does take a fraction longer to set up than the previous design I had, the more sort of common double hoop dome swag. I timed myself setting both the swags up today and the stretcher, so I'll put the times on the screen for you so you get a bit of an indication. But I really do like this setup, and because they've split, you got like a 60-40 or maybe a 70-30 sort of split here between these two sections. It means you get more room to get out and you've got a larger volume because it's going to be higher in this section and then it tapers off towards the bottom. There is adjustability in these spreader poles so you can get the canvas nice and firm however you like it. Moving back inside here for a second, you might have noticed there's a light strip up here, so that's pretty clever. I think that might have been an additional extra, I can't recall, but it was definitely from Kalkine, and it does come with this sleeve ready to attach one. So that's a little USB powered light. There's a little switch down here. You can plug it into your power pack, your jump starter or whatever, and you've got a little light there. But if you need to get up in the middle of the night or you're fumbling around looking for your phone or your water bottle or something like that, then it's handy just to flick that switch on. There's also Pockets in both corners, which is pretty standard on most swags now. This is canvas. I'll put the weight on the screen because I can't remember. And then the bottom is a PVC sort of tub floor, which you would have seen on most swags nowadays as well. Right, that pretty much sums up all the stuff that I love about this swag. Overall, I really do love the swag. There is a few little negatives that I'll rattle off now. I want this to be a balanced review. Just before I do that, I jotted down the price point on these. So with my discount code WILD, which saves you 5% if you buy direct from Kalkine, you'd get the Dome swag for $342. This Mega swag is $475 and the stretcher is $189. It's the same size stretcher for both these two swags. So this stretcher you see now is actually the one that I've had for over 4 years. Yes, it is very good quality, but this takes me into the downsides. That stretcher is really, really solid, which means it's fairly heavy, all right? It's a steel frame stretcher, so it's heavier than other ones on the market, but I've had a few stretchers before and I must say this is the best of the bunch. They're all awkward to set up because they end up, as you're unfolding the things, you're kind of flapping around, dropping stuff. They're all a little bit awkward to set up. Easy and quick, just a bit awkward. But this one is fairly heavy. Also, because this swag is so much bigger, which I think is fantastic, it does mean that it does roll up to be a fairly bulky package. So you just have to account for that. And also because it's got a larger volume inside it, more space, probably will find that this swag maybe takes longer to heat up from your body heat than a smaller sort of compact single swag, a narrower swag. This one is going to take longer to warm up. It's probably going to be a little bit colder. You get around that by, you can fit a bigger sleeping bag in this than you can in other swags and still fit it inside the swag bag, or you wear layers, or if you're really soft like me, you invest in an electric blanket. So, there's ways around that, and there's just pros and cons with everything. If you want to have all the space inside it and you want it to be really big and almost tent-like, then you're going to end up with a bigger package that maybe isn't as warm as a smaller swag. And you know what? I think that's all I've really got to say about this swag. I'll wrap it up here. I really do love this thing. You're going to see it on my channel for quite some time. I haven't seen anything better, so I'll be sticking with this. I think it's at a really good price point. I think it's really good quality. And there's just little features that I like above what I've seen from other brands. I love the storm flaps with the spring poles. I love the shelf. I love all the windows. I love the access to the shelf. Heaps of room to swing in and out. A really heavy duty stretcher that's really comfortable for a big side sleeper like myself. My feet don't touch the sides, vertical walls. It's just really comfortable. Yep. Blurring the lines of swag and tent, I don't care. It's really comfortable. I like it and I'm going to be sticking with it. If you want to get one of these, or the stretcher or the Dome swag or anything else from Kalkine, you're welcome to use my discount code WILD. It will save you 5%. If you are going to get a swag, I would recommend, there'll be a little pop-up that says, do you want to add for 55 bucks a swag bag and a fitted sheet? And I would do that because it's hard to find sheets that fit swag mattresses perfectly. And the bag is just a really nice shape. You're not wrestling this thing into the bag. It fits perfectly. You can roll it up with all your bedding, your pillow, the whole lot. So I would definitely add that. I think it's a worthwhile investment. Anyway, thank you for watching. Let me know in the comment section what you reckon of this swag or what swag you're running. I'm always interested to hear what other people have got. And I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.